Our manufacturers, they can't afford to be down. Downtime for them is crippling to their ability to stay alive, stay relevant. We've got to keep them alive. And some of that's critical spares on sites and then supportive capacity here. Vendor managed inventory, taking this product out. So keeping those manufacturers running is ultimately the purpose of this inventory. Otherwise, it's just simply stuff.
Modern distributors distribute more than just boxes. They distribute ideas, services, planning. Product that goes out the door is simply a byproduct of everything else. In this episode, we're going to hear what the distributor of the future looks like as we sit down with Nate Bucklew. Nate, is part of this city series we've been doing, going around Louisville. We were in the lab at Amatral. We were at Watch Hill proper, talking about the bourbon industry with the Opus guys. And I think we have a very iconic location to talk about industrial distribution. Being inside your warehouse, literally using a spool as our table for the conversation. It's great to have you here.
Authentic. Thank you for having me.
So we're in the warehouse right now. I got to ask you, since we are in the bourbon capital, where would we be having a beverage if we were doing this over a drink?
I think Whiskey Row is important, the historical element of that. There's a lot of good bourbon restaurants, good bars. Being here in Louisville, you'll find it anywhere. I think, we joked a little earlier, that's probably a question I need to defer to my wife on as my social planner, but Repeal is pretty cool. I think that's a unique one. Maybe not one of the mainstream, the Jeff Rubies of the world, certainly great. But Repeal is neat and would probably be where I went for a drink.
Well, when you're having a beverage there, I want you to answer this question as if that's the scenario you're in, right? What makes an industrial electrical distributor such a critical part of a manufacturing ecosystem? So we're sipping on bourbon. How do you answer that in 1 minute, 30 seconds or something?
The timing is going to be the hardest part of this. I was just at a local university last night talking about what we do, and a lot of folks getting into careers to make a difference. And you think about what manufacturing is, and what we do, what we aim to do is to create that, to enable that, and maximize the efficiency, maximize what our manufacturers can do. But ultimately, what it is jobs, it's community. If you look at some of the manufacturers in town. Among the most, the highest employment, largest employers here. So I mean, it is jobs. It is a backbone of the community, and what we get to do. Yeah, we're selling lighting and we're selling plant automation and safety, but we're helping to create jobs and kind of continue that ecosystem. You look through COVID, where a lot of folks couldn't work. We had to. We were getting letters from customers, part of a critical infrastructure, whether that's the water treatment facilities or the utilities, food and bev, putting food on shelves at the grocery store. We support a lot of those customers. So there is importance in what we do beyond the solution or the product that we provide.
And we're going to talk about the ecosystem here today. We're going to talk about what you do, what you'll be doing in the future, as well as distribution continues to evolve. But first, we want to get to know your backstory a little bit. So my first question is, how did you get into this industry? Give us a little bit about how Nate made his way into the industrial distribution world.
So I started with our CED location up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's where I'm from. My father was in the industry for his career. My older brother got into the industry, and like any little brother, you follow what your big brother does, and started in the warehouse through college up in Pittsburgh. Just stocking shelves, doing a lot of what we've seen, and really fell in love with. I didn't get to see a lot of the business and the technology, but fell in love with the people side of it. Came back another summer. Came back full time after graduation. CD's got an incredible management training program to where they invested into me and taught me some of the fundamentals of product and industry, but people and leadership. And I've bounced around a little bit. Came down into Kentucky. Never thought I'd leave, but they moved down to Kentucky to get a broadened training experience. Spent some time in Lexington, and ultimately had the opportunity to go and manage down in Elizabethtown, Kentucky, just south of here, just south of Louisville, and managed down there for 6 years. Got to know some of the manufacturing community. The bourbon industry is a big part of that market and this market here in Kentucky. And kind of working with customers, working with that team there. Ultimately had an opportunity to come up here and manage in Louisville. I've been here for coming up on 6 years, and now I'm a district manager for our Bluegrass Industrial District, working with some of our other managers across Kentucky, and helping to ultimately build businesses that support our customers, that partner with our suppliers to make this whole thing work.
And our audience probably heard this in your answer. You've done everything from stocking the shelves to where you are as a district manager now here at E&H, which is a prestigious role at the end of the day. So what I want to ask you is some advice for the audience out there, maybe particularly early career talent. What are the things that you've done or the things you'd recommend the folks in industry do to prepare themselves for advancement and to accelerate their careers? What's helped you, and what advice would you give to the audience?
Build a foundation, which requires patience, which is impossible as you're coming out of school, whether that's high school or out of college, and eager to make a difference, and eager to get into to new roles that that are aligned with your passion. But ultimately, to be successful for our customers, we need to know what we're doing. To be successful in a management role, I've got to understand what my people are doing, and that takes time. You got to do that. And again, our training program puts us in a position to learn on the site, on the job training with our experts, with our personnel who have been doing this for a career, with our customers who ultimately help to drive us to build a business that supports them. So patience is key. Again, I was at a university last night talking to folks, and it's like, how long's a training program? And 1 to 2 years feels like an eternity in that time frame.
Absolutely.
When in reality, it's too quick sometimes. But I think that's so important, is just having a foundation to build upon, learn upon, and then offer some insights on.
Patience is great advice in our instant gratification world that we live in now, and especially when you're in your early 20s and 2 years does feel like an eternity versus like a blip.
And I was there. I mean, it's easy for me to speak it now, that fourth month in the warehouse, you're like, oh, hey, when's my time? And you're, outside sales, you're waiting for that next call. So it's always easier said in hindsight, but it's important. And again, whether that's the young professional or individuals looking to get into the next role, kind of grow where you're planted, and be a good coworker, be a good supplier, be a good customer. It's a people business. Build good relationships, build good trust, and take care of those around you. A lot of the other things take care of themselves.
A slightly different question, reflecting back on those warehouse days, the early days of the training program. What's one of the lessons you learned back then that still helps you today? Whether it was a conversation with a mentor, something you learned in that program.
I'm never the smartest person in the room. I mean, and not just me. It's like there's always something to learn, and we've got insights to offer, and we should be quick and free to offer those. But we got a lot to learn as well. I showed up as a 24-year-old manager with 4 individuals, all older than me, all more knowledgeable about that market and about, frankly, our industry, and how to strike that balance of leading and being led, being guided, being coached. Is a nimble balance, but an important one. I think that probably rings the most consistent for me as I look back, and it's like, gosh, what were some of those important lessons learned?
Continuous learning, patience. You've been distilling a lot of great advice in this part of the conversation so far. Let's shift a little bit over to like the Louisville manufacturing ecosystem. What does manufacturing mean to Louisville, Kentucky? And feel free to go a little broader as well.
I mean, it's an identity of this market. There's a commercial on TV right now of they say we don't manufacturing anything anymore, and it's like, go to Michigan, come to Kentucky, go to Missouri, and it's the reality. And there is we push a lot of things overseas, and there's some financial reasons that businesses have done that. But come to Louisville, Kentucky, and manufacturing is real. And manufacturing, it matters, and that's it's a little bit of a buzzword there, but it's the reality of it, and what it does. Again, I mentioned a little earlier on community and jobs, and building a career and providing for a family. Manufacturing, it's key to what we do, and I think there's a pride element to from being an American, in manufacturing here, made in America. Having some of that here brings a lot of pride to this community. And we've got some great manufacturers, which is a big piece of that. And I think one feeds itself. More industry coming in, more investment, big investment being made. And I don't think it's any accident that Kentucky, that greater Louisville area, has been selected for a lot of those investments. We've got great people, we've got willing workers and talented workers. And that's built upon I think a lot of the history and rich history of manufacturing that's here.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what industry or industries are capturing your attention these days. We've talked a lot about some of the core industries that are here in this area over the past couple interviews. We've got bourbon, we've got automotive, I just learned about the tugboat industry down in Paducah. That was a new one for me. What industries are capturing your attention right now?
That's huge, and those are some of the main, the food and bev, the automotive. I think have been core to this industry, but over the last decade or two, you look at material handling and the digital transformation and how all of us as individual consumers shop. The material handling industry and some of the distribution and fulfillment, some of the parcel, the investments being made into that to be able to add efficiency, add speed, add accuracy and tracking to where we're getting updates as things are moving through miles of conveyors. That is a big part of this industry, but a big part of where I think our industry as a whole, our nation is going, as things continue to speed and buying behaviors change. Those distribution centers and those fulfillment areas, the technology and the automation that goes into that, I think has been a big part of the some of the growth, industrial growth here in Louisville.
I want to ask you. We're going to shift gears in this conversation a bit to talk about industrial distribution, what it means to be in this industry, where we see this space going, because I've said it before, but after over 150 episodes of Manufacturing Happy Hour, it's criminal that I really haven't addressed industrial distribution yet. So you're the perfect person to help lead us off on this. Wow. And there was a quote we said earlier today. I shouldn't say a quote. It was something we said earlier, that it's not the product that's on the shelves. It's the ability to get that product to the people that need it quickly.
Yeah.
So,
go ahead.
I'd love to share your thoughts on that, and then I'll go in with my question after that.
Product is irrelevant if it's not pointed at the right customer, if it's not here for our customer base. It enables. I mean, we can have 22 million of this, 30 million of this. It's got to be here when our customers need it, and frankly, that's been part of the frustration of the last 2 years for all in a supply chain capacity. But our customers, our manufacturers, they can't afford to be down. Downtime for them is crippling to their ability to stay alive, stay relevant. We've got to keep them alive, and some of that's critical spares on sites, and then supportive capacity here, vendor managed inventory, taking this product out. So keeping those manufacturers running is ultimately the purpose of this inventory. Otherwise, it's just simply stuff. And then you look at some of our OEMs, our machine builders, our integration, speed to market there. They've got timelines. They've got commitments that they've got to make, that they've made. They've got to deliver on. We've got to enable that happening at the time they need it. And some of it, again, they might not have the space for all of this inventory. We've got to bridge that gap. So we fulfill a role there. And but again, it's just stuff if it's not enabling our customers to do what they need to do, and what we have here should be aided by what they need.
And there are I'd love to get into the nitty gritty a little bit, because there are specific things that you do as a distributor to help get your customers to market quicker. as you say. Can you give us like the highlight reel of those? You don't need to go into all the detail, but the unique things that you do that are more than just the boxes on the shelves.
Sure. Rewind the clock for years. It's next day delivers. Hey, you get us an order, we got it on the shelf, or it's going to be on the truck tomorrow morning. So some of that has laid the foundation for that quickness, that reputation, that service-minded existence. But as again, we've worked with customers more, and we've understood, hey, what's holding you up? What what you're having staffing problems. What can't you do? We've gone and started to take the kind of custom built push button stations, or built to spec terminal block kits, to where we're going to take and put it to where when our customer opens a box, they don't have to count all those things out. They get it, they put it on their machine, or they put it on their back panel, and they can get the field. So we've done more of that over time with customer guidance. And then we looked a little earlier at our modification center. We sell enclosures, we sell control panels, and we want the box, and we want to provide everything that goes within it. And ultimately, our customers, we don't necessarily panel build unless our customers are asking us to do that. But we want to put it to where they don't have to get it and then measure out and cut a big square in stainless steel, or cut 14 push button holes in. We've got a machine that when they get it, they can start to get to work with wiring, with layout, and really get to the core of what they do, where their value add is. That positions us closer to them. That adds more value to them. And if we can do that successfully, more consistently, we've got a really good partnership to build upon.
Yeah, I think the way I summarize it is you create different ways to serve your customers in the way that need to be served, right? Not everyone needs the panels cut, right? That's an option for them that's available for the ones that where that helps them get to market quicker. Sure. Another thing you do, and we talked about this with Amatrol not too many episodes ago, we were really talking about the skills gap, and they do a lot of work in your market and quite frankly beyond. They serve the globe. They do a lot of work around writing curriculum, building training stations, but you're also doing things to address the need for skilled workers and the fact that we don't necessarily have all the skills we need out there in the field today. Tell us how you're doing that.
Sure. Well, and we feel it. We recognize the importance of it for our customers because we feel it ourselves. At the end of this year, I'm going to have 2 45-year tenured employees retire. And we can go and recruit talented people, but to transfer that knowledge comprehensively is tough, if not impossible. So how do we ourselves, and then how do we help our customers with those same challenges? And training's a big piece of it. Offering training, effective training, a breadth of training environments in person. We'll bring folks in here. We'll take training on site to our customers. E-learning, because they don't have as many people, they can't get out of the plant. We'll offer e-learning alongside with Amatrol, Rockwell, some of our manufacturing partners, to put curriculum in front of our customers that help their people do the job, but advance in their job as well. And that's, again, back to the community and manufacturing. Works, there's a pride element to it, and that career advancement. If we can help to aid that and guide that, all the more valuable we are to that customer. But there's some pride in that for ourselves as well. So that's a big piece of it. But also, again, where we can't train our way through it, if it's truly just a shortage of people, we do want to offer some of those value-added services, or connect them with the expertise, our integrator community, some of our delivery partners who we don't need to do it, but we know people who can. And I think that's a big part, our ecosystem, and connecting our customer with those who can solve those problems, whether those are our people or other partners, is critical. So we've got to be on that continued focal point of solving customer problems where they can't solve them themselves.
Yeah, so we've been talking about inventory. We talked about what you're doing to address the needs for skilled workers. I also want to add an aside. I just love it when we have fork trucks behind us as well. That's what makes manufacturing happy hour. It's not real without that. So I need to figure out how to get those in my own podcast studio. But I do have one more, let's say, product and inventory question related thing for you before I completely switch it up a little bit. So one other thing I think people might miss when they're thinking about distribution is I think we had just nebulously assumed that stuff is available somewhere and it arrives at their door the next day. But you stock stuff that's unique to this market, right? What you have here would look a little different from what's in, say, Kansas City, for example. So explain why that part is important and why that might be something that most people don't realize about what a distributor does.
Sure. And different distributors do it differently. There's distribution centers that'll service, a region, the Great Lakes region. Our motto is we're going to put a warehouse here that's focused on these customers because what they need is going to be different than Minnesota or gosh, even Elizabethtown, 40 miles south of here. The customer mix down there is different than it is up here. And our inventory isn't necessarily going to overlap. There's some A items, some common themes, but ultimately we build our inventory to support that local customer base. And again, we can anticipate it. We can look up and see what the A items are. We can get in front of our customers and understand, hey, what are you using? What are your pain points? When you're down, what's that one item that you can't get? And we stock accordingly. So the true intricate differences of same industry but different customer, different market. The inventory inventory requirements and demands are going to vary. And I think what I love about what we're able to do, is build that around our local customers' needs.
I told you I was going to change it up to something totally different. So we're talking about a lot of the things you do today and some things you've been building, let's say your heritage and legacy around as a distributor. What does the distributor of the future look like? What are some of the newer things you've seen that you're doing and maybe things that you're thinking of doing next?
People, I won't depart from it. Innovation is key and digital transformation. Again, we've talked on some of the buzzwords and some of the things that we need to truly understand, we need to invest in, we need to bring that solution to our customers. But people's key to that. You talk to our customers about what differentiates today, the industry's changing, it's evolving, but what makes out in front of customers over the last few days, the ability for them to call and get an answer when a website might not fully suggest, whether it's available or what is needed. We've had some customers really reinforce the value in people. So that piece is important today. It's important in the future. People is key. And our people in making sure we've got the right individuals to support our customers, those people. But we need to be innovative. We need to be willing to invest. Again, where you think about where we sit between our customers and our suppliers, what's important to those two, and listening to what's important to customers and helping the manufacturing community create a new generation of product or a new firmware or new software. Our manufacturers are brilliant and forward-looking and bringing new technologies, softwares, data-driven solutions to our customer base. We've got to be agile and work both sides of that with the end customer in mind. But ultimately, a lot of what they rely on us for is bringing that innovation. You talk to customers, you read trade magazines. It's like, gosh, what are customers stressed about? What do they lose sleep about? People and expertise. The new technology and/or innovation and some of the maybe some of that old technology that leaves their equipment vulnerable, and we've got to equip ourselves to bring those solutions to them.
When you're on the cutting edge like you are and you're maybe introducing these data-driven solutions, we use the term digital transformation a lot, but really what it is you're helping customers leverage their data more effectively to produce more, reduce scrap, all the things that you can use that for. What is it like being a leader in that space? How do you get people to make that change? How do you coach them through that?
The why, how do you get people to do anything? Help, you can tell them, that's never effective for long, if ever. Help them understand why. And that starts with our people. Why is this important that we upgrade the backbone of our network, our customers' network infrastructure? So that they can get the data, get it upstream, make quicker decisions, understand that there's a safety incident ahead. Those types of things, the understanding of why is important. And that's us, and then our customers too. And I think, again, we let our customers lead us a lot on, hey, what's important to you? Where should we go? How should we be structured? Where should our investment and capacity be? But we need to help our customers too. They rely on us for some of that foresight, and taking some of that, where do robotics fit? Where does some of this mechatronics fit in machine building? That's new. That's designing machines differently. And we've got to help be persistent, because it might not, we're busy, they got machines to run. That's going to require new engineering. We've got to be persistent with and help them understand the why and the value. It's a different way to associate maybe what downtime is. It's going to alleviate the downtime, and we've got to understand it so we can then convey that importance to our customer base. But we've got to understand it ourselves first.
Well, I think one thing that you shared early in that answer that makes a lot of sense is you've been doing things more digitally around this warehouse and around your own operation. So you're not just showing up and saying, hey, you need to do X, Y, Z to your process so that way you can be more efficient, have less downtime, et cetera. You're like, you have a story to build off of. It's like, this is how we automated our warehouse, added new systems, et cetera, digitized our VMI program, for example, where you're not going in with paper and pencil anymore. So those are all great examples that you have in that area. Another area that I want to ask about, because we talked a lot about the product and the different ways you make that available to folks and the way you need it available. But what I think is also interesting is being a services-centric distributor as well. That's something that I think people are still getting their arms around, where it's like, hey, not only do you have the technology to get people going, but you also have, with your industrial solutions network, a way to provide services from assessments, getting into something like cybersecurity as well. Where I'm really going with this question is, what is it like when you're breaking into an area that might really not look and feel like what a distributor has done before?
Again, there's a level of discomfort to where it's like, oh, hey, we got to step our game up. We've got to have training. We've got, we bought this machine. We got to have the safety systems around. So there's some of the mechanics, the basics that we got to make sure we're ready to offer these things. We are ready to perform in these areas. Again, for me, we better be darn sure, as we strive to solve our customer's problem, we're not poking another customer in the eye, another delivery partner in the eye, and that's a nimble journey. And again, you just got to talk with your customers. You got to understand what do they need, how do we offer that, and whether it's us offering it or bringing in somebody who's already built and scaled to do a lighting installation. They can buy lighting fixtures from us, but ultimately they need them up in the air. And unless they've got a robust maintenance crew, which many of them are struggling to keep fulfilled now, can we pull in a delivery partner and put those up? That's services, and we might not physically go install those, but we're going to offer that turnkey service to our customers. So we've got to get ourselves out of our comfort zone and be comfortable doing that, if that even makes sense. But we've got to align with the right delivery partners, with our own delivery capabilities ourselves. It's a balance, and I think that's going to be key to the future is turnkey solutions, turnkey problem solving for our customer, to where they turn to us and we go make it happen with some partners around us.
I like that answer. I also like that a big theme throughout this conversation, whether it's been talking about the mod center, whether it's been talking about services, you're looking for the areas that the manufacturing ecosystem, specific customers, the community as a whole, the areas that they need help. And you're figuring out, hey, is this something someone else is already doing, or is this an area where we can really add value to this? And is there a partner that we can pick up along the way to do that as well? So cool overview. I hope this has given everyone out there a better understanding of where industrial distribution has been and where it continues to go. Because now I want to ask you just a little bit about Louisville as well as we get towards the end of our conversation. Like, we talked about the ecosystem, but I want to talk about just Louisville specifically. We've been hanging out here for a couple days. It's a cool town. Like, what makes this place special in general? Because I feel like it's a best-kept secret town right now. While a bunch of people flock to Nashville for their bachelor and bachelorette parties, Louisville's up here doing its own thing, and it's pretty cool.
Believe it or not, I'll stay to theme here. It's great people. I'm not from Louisville. Came here, 12 years ago or so, to E-Town, but down in this general area. It's great people, and you can build fit into a sense of community. You can build a family here, raise a family here. So I think the people are key. But there's a lot of fun to be had too. There's good parks, there's good museums, there's good industry. There's a lot of good sports teams. Whether that's collegiate, and I won't identify either with the Cards or UK here, but good. A lot of good culture from horses to bourbon and again industry in between. But it's people and again, people make that all happen, and people make that all relevant. So we've grown as outsiders to the Louisville community. We've grown to call this home, and it's been a joy.
You're not the only person I've heard that from. I got a couple buddies that have moved down here as well that have said similar things. I think I kind of know where you're going to go with the answer on this one a little bit based on the theme of our conversation, but I have to ask you, what's the manufacturing culture, I'm just going to say the manufacturing community like specifically? Collaborative? Like how would you describe it?
Sure. Now, I'll ask, upstream or downstream, we work with manufacturers, Ford and GE. We work with Rockwell Automation. Local manufacturing, our customer base. Is that your question?
Yeah, local. Let's go local.
Collaborative.
Yeah.
Now, we better add value.
Yeah.
They're busy. They don't have time for us to walk in and just simply waste time, or we've got to earn that entry point. We've got to earn that presence in front of them, and if we can, then yes, absolutely collaborative. I think that's key to what we do. Again, from what we have here and the technologies we want to bring, the solutions we want to bring, we learn that from customers often. But we got to earn that time. They don't have enough to give as it is, and if we're gonna get in front of them, we better add value.
Tell me about how this translates to the culture at E&H specifically, inside these four walls and the people in your region.
How that, I think, again, it's being mindful of, hey, they have a job to do. How do we help them do that job? If you're gonna, we want to go make sales calls, we want to go get out in front of customers, but why? Have we done some homework? Are we showing up with a purpose? And taking that approach. I'll also say, understanding that we're a supplier to our customers. We're a customer to our suppliers, and behaving as such to make sure that it's, we practice what we preach, and we are good to our supplier community as well. We've got to be good partners. We want to be loyal and be innovative. So, making sure that what we're taking to our customers, we're behaving as the customer for our manufacturing facilities as well.
Big question for you in the final throes of this interview. What's the most critical thing, like the one thing you would need to do as a distributor to keep your customers in business for the next 10 years? Kind of the linchpin about if you had to pick one thing that's going to continue to make you relevant and, more importantly, your customers relevant, what would that be?
Yeah, and I say I'll continue on. This is more of an answer to the last question. I think everything we do has got to be done with transparency, integrity, too, as a baseline. We can do all this all day, and we can make decisions here, but the collaboration, you think about, that's a big macro question and one big thing, but it's, I think, getting in front of our customer base, understanding what's core to them, what their goals are, what their challenges are, so we can come back and plan accordingly, build a business to enable that, to maximize that. And whether that's on the manufacturing facilities, manufacturing side, our manufacturing community, keeping a facility running, preventing downtime, understanding that, whether that's our machine builders and understanding their outlook, how much of a certain product are they going to need, or understanding, hey, what are their 30,000 foot outlooks, so that we can build a business and scale a business and make innovative investments that enable them and add value to them. We've got to stay in front of our customers. It's why we exist. If we can build that trust, add some value, and stay in front of them, they can help us with the foresight to continue to put them first.
Nate, you've covered a lot of ground. Is there one lasting lesson or one takeaway you'd want the audience to walk away with this from when it comes to how they think about industrial electrical distribution?
No, there's more to it. Again, there's boxes and there's product in and there's product out. But we're working to solve problems. We're working to understand, how do we make manufacturing? How do we make our customers successful? How do we put them forward? We're a people business. We are here to service our people, and we've got some learning to do and evolution to do ourselves to stay current and stay relevant and stay cutting edge, or get cutting edge perhaps. But it matters. What we do is more than just providing boxes. It's keeping some critical infrastructure facilities running, and adding to that sense of community in important towns across the nation.
We talked about this while we were walking around your facility earlier, but I feel like it would be wrong if the last question I didn't ask was, what is your go-to bourbon of choice right before for some of us about to leave the bourbon capital here?
Woodford Double Oaked, Woodford Reserve Double Oaked. Again, I'm from Pittsburgh. Whiskeys in general were not my thing, and I'm far from a bourbon connoisseur. But I have, you try a bunch of different bourbons and very expensive bourbons, and Woodford Double Oak gets it done for me. Basil Hayden, if you forced me to throw a second in there, Basil Hayden is excellent. Both usually available and good bang for buck.
When you came down here, were you just surprised at how ingrained bourbon culture is? I mean, I kind of expect it, but also when I just even going to a couple bars and restaurants around here, I'm just like, there's a bourbon of the week on like every space you go. Like, you can't escape it. I think it's cool that one of your number one exports is also very much appreciated here as well, versus something that's sometimes just like, that's for the tourists, right?
Oh, no. You got a better chance of finding some of the Kentucky-made bourbon in other states. I mean, it is a big part of what we do, and there's a lot of pride and probably joy in drinking it as well. It's a little bit overwhelming on you go to a liquor store, or you look at the bourbon shelf, and it's like, gosh, what decision to make? You can get paralyzed by it. But a lot of new distilleries coming up, good, innovative distilleries, and it's a cornerstone to our market, and there's a lot of buy-in around that.
Well, the next time we do this, we got to be doing it over a bourbon. I know we'll get a chance to do that at some point or another. I also have to say, this is kind of coming full circle on a personal note. When I first started manufacturing happy hour a long time ago, I remember seeing your buddies at Renson House out in Kansas City doing a video series where they sat around spools, and it was kind of a joke series called Between Two Forklifts. But I saw that, I'm like, I should do something like that someday. So now that we're sitting here at a wire spool in your facility here in Louisville, Kentucky, it's pretty cool. So I just want to thank you for jumping on the show, and we'll
Thanks
catch
for
up
coming.
soon.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Appreciate it, sir.